I read a bit about some of your write-ups, and I saw some kind of a differentiation between hemp and is it cannabis? Or what is cannabis? Let's learn. Most of us know it as weed.
Well, we here in Ghana, we call it Indian hemp, and I think that's created a lot of the confusion. And so when we talk about hemp, we're really talking about what I would call cannabis indica, which is the weed, as you say, that provides the psychoactivity and gets you feeling euphoric, etc., etc. Now, on the other hand, you have the cannabis sativa, which is mainly industrial. It's industrial. It's not something that you smoke, that you would indulge in smoking, because I see that the main concern we have in our society is the issue about smoking. So cannabis sativa is industrial, and cannabis indica is the one where you find THC, and that's the compound within the whole thing that provides the high, if you like. Some will call it the high, some will call it euphoria, or whatever. So there's a distinct difference between the two. If I was to cultivate cannabis sativa, it would strictly be on the basis of growing the industry. It's industrialization. The entire studio can be made out of cannabis sativa. The building, everything can be made out of cannabis sativa. The clothes you're wearing, the shoes we're wearing, the hat I'm wearing, absolutely everything can be made out of cannabis sativa, which is industrial hemp. Whereas on the other hand, you're looking at medicinal, by and large medicinal benefits, which the doctor can expatiate on much more better than I can. That is good for all of us. Epilepsy, autism, you know, Alzheimer's disease, etc., etc. Numerous diseases that benefit. If you suffer from any of those ailments, cannabis is one of the things that can really deal with it proficiently. All the cancers, for example.
I know that, of course, you would be talking about the business aspect of it, but let me come to you, Doctor. When we hear of cannabis, I mean, those of us who just know it know about the negatives and the fact that it gets people high, the fact that it gets people, quote and unquote, mad, puts them on the street and all of that. When we mention cannabis, what exactly should we be thinking about?
Okay, well, my explanation of cannabis is slightly different from Nana's. Cannabis refers to a plant with different species of the plant. For simplicity purposes, there is a...
Ghana is a big country, and I think as long as we stick within the guidelines that the doctor has prescribed here, the 50 miles, because I know of it too, then everything will be fine. A farmer who's cultivating cannabis outdoors will not be affected by another farmer who's cultivating hemp outdoors 50 miles away, because the pollen won't come across to it. So there's no problem at all. There must be clear regulations that help us to determine where the location should be for each particular cannabis strain. So that's not a big issue within itself. I think the main issues, as we're sitting here today, is the enlightenment of the general population.
Yes, exactly. So I was going to come to that. Not even the general population, the Ghana Police Service, because we see them, we see them catching people who are growing cannabis all the time. But probably because we don't know about some of these things that you are teaching us now. If they knew that we have to grow hemp only and be able to have commercial value out of it, and then grow cannabis somewhere else and have medicinal value out of it, they would probably be able to regulate it well. Correct. But let me allow you on your point, and then we can talk about the business.
It's about the law, isn't it? I mean, at the moment, we're in Parliament. We've gone through a process of dialogue.
I was going to come to that, yes,
with the Parliamentary Select Committee, etc., etc. Gone through the Narcotics Commission Bill 2019, page by page, and as it stands today, the Narcotics Commission Bill has had its second reading in Parliament, and we're now going through the amendments. Even today in Parliament, we were going through the amendments. I believe there are about 80 or 90 amendments. Once we finished with that, then the bill would have its third reading, and then the House will vote. To be perfectly honest with you, there's no opposition as such.
To the bill?
There's no opposition as such to the bill.
No, Doc, I'll come to you, but let me get this clear from you. Are you, as a major stakeholder, satisfied with the content of the bill? Because I think the discussion on the bill previously had been about the growing of it and the medicinal use of it as against the regulation itself.
Well, the issue with the bill, to be perfectly honest with you, is what they term as recreational use. It's what everyone is concerned with. We like to call it adult use, because recreational use, one could say everyone can participate recreationally when really they can't. And I'm sure Doctor will clarify the reason why they can and they can't. Now, in terms of the adult use, we have psychiatrists here who start saying if you smoke, psychosis, and lots of other things, which for me, I believe by and large is scaremongering. I don't believe that is the way to educate the general populace on how they can get the best benefits from cannabis adult use. So as I say, we're looking at the bill at the moment, and one of the key aspects of it, some of the key aspects of it are that there are a lot of people in prison at the moment.
The punitive measure
because of possession of small amounts of cannabis. They're doing 5 to 10 years. That shouldn't be the case. We're actually destroying more lives by imprisoning these people than what they claim would destroy their lives if they were participating in adult use of cannabis. I think also what we also need to understand is that the issue of psychosis, by and large, is a perception. There are isolated cases of perhaps it triggering something off, but I think we've scaremongered enough, and it's time for the truth to be told, which is why I'm sitting here
with Doc. The truth. It's time for the truth to be told, because people don't really know the positives of cannabis. And that's why we would institute punitive measures on people who are holding small amounts of it, as Nana is saying. What are the things we should understand? I think so, and a lot of regulators do not get the proper detail as Doctor is giving us. Perhaps they would have allowed the growing of it, but in a regulated manner, in such a manner that people do not abuse it. Because even as it has all of these positives that we are talking about, it still gets people high, it still gets people intoxicated. How do we, of course, you have followed the bill into Parliament, now it's going to be passed, and you have all the contents of the bill. How do we regulate the growing of it? How do we regulate making sure that it even creates job? I mean, you are for the business aspect of it. It creates job for the youth of our country. It brings in revenue, because we know that in other parts of the world, in Europe, in Canada, for example, they have commercialized it.
That's a great question, right? First of all, let me say that there's nothing wrong with getting high. When you take,
nothing wrong in getting high?
No, well, when you take your drinks, when you drink your alcohol, what happens to you? You don't get low, do you? You get high.
You do, of course, you do.
You feel euphoric, and that's legal, you know. And then you feel so euphoric, you jump into your car and start driving, and then you have an accident, you kill a few people, but no one says let's ban alcohol. No one says let's ban alcohol. That's by the by. But anyway, as it stands right now, with the contract that the Hemp Association have signed with this Portuguese off-taker, for a farm, let's say 100 acres, we're looking at employment of 400 people. That's just to deal with the farm itself. That's outside of the other people you'll be required to need when cultivation comes for drying and all the other...
The whole of the value chain, yes.
Yes. So you could easily look with 100 acre at about 800 people being employed. Now, it's significant because the deal is a 5-year deal, and over the 5 years, gross will be 56 million. 10 million of that will go to the government in taxes at 70%.
Let me get this clear. Let me get this clearly. You're saying that we can rake in 56 million Ghana cedis.
We can rake in. I've signed a contract which is a 5-year contract, which rakes in 56 million US dollars over a 5-year period. No, what Ghana cedis? I'm talking dollars here. That's the business. That's the business, US dollars. I'm talking about 56 million US dollars, and I'm talking about government being able to earn 2 million every year.
Which is 10 million US dollars.
Which is 10 million US dollars over a 5-year period. The reason being that for every cultivation cycle of 100,000 kilos of cannabis sativa, industrial hemp, that I supply, I will earn 2.8 million US dollars. 500,000 of that approximately goes as taxes to government immediately. Yeah? So if I do a four cycles, you're looking at what? 4 times 2.8. That's a lot of money. So when you do it, when you accumulate the whole thing, you're looking at 56 million, you're looking at 10 million taxes. You also have to pay your export duty and whatever other bits and bobs. Now that's just one farmer.
Exactly, that's where I was coming to. That for you as a single investor, that's how much we are talking about, 56 million US dollars.
That's one farmer. So the multiplying effect, just say it was 10. Let's just say it was 20. Look at the size of Ghana. Let's just say it's 50. How much is that? How much is that that's going to be accrued for the government of Ghana that will limit the amount of times we have to board the plane and see the president give us this little wave with his cap in his left hand,
going around the world asking for money?
Precisely. It means we are generating our own revenue stream. That's what it means. And that's just one farmer. You get 50 farmers, the multiplying effect sets in. Now, in terms of regulating it, for the hemp, it's easy in terms of regulating the hemp, because straight away, as we have said already, you know that the hemp is non-narcotic, 0.3% THC. It's strictly for industrial purposes. And initially, we will grow it to export. But after a time, once we accumulate significant amounts of money, then we can start diverting it to go into developing hempcrete, where we can build buildings like this building out of hempcrete. It's hemp herds mixed with lime. It's a living house.
I saw a picture of in one of your write-ups, I think in Australia or somewhere.
Western Australia.
Yes, where the hempcrete has been used to build a whole house, and people are living in it.
Well, they've built entire communities, and it's more than an issue of people are living in it. The fact of the matter is, it's eco-friendly, as when you build using hemp, it absorbs carbon dioxide. So this will reduce the greenhouse effect. It does release it back out again.
Have you told all of these to our parliamentarians?
Oh, they're very well aware.
You have lectured them on all of these? On the revenue, the amount of revenue that they will rake in?
They are very well aware.
I mean, you have met the plenary. You have spoken to them.
They are shocked, but they are aware. They are aware. Look at the textile industry. Our textile industry is on the floor. It's dying. It's on a respirator. And we're having cheap materials coming across our border. We're trying to monitor that. We can't deal with it. And it means that we don't have what it takes to produce our own textiles anymore. Hemp produces those textiles. Hemp produces cotton that is 20% stronger than the traditional cotton that we know of. And let me say this to you once again, there's an eco-friendly aspect to it, because an acre of hemp produces 20% more oxygen than an acre of trees.
Wow.
You see?
Wow.
Now, let me just expatiate a little bit more.
Right.
We had a problem at the Tano River. A truck went up there, tipped over. The acid from the batteries it was carried
into
went
the Tano
in there, contaminated the river, aquatic life dead, etc., etc. Now, they have said that they've cleaned it up. I have my doubts about that. I would like to know what methods they use.
That's the Ghana Water Company Limited, how they were able to clean it up.
But I can assure you that not only for the river, but for lands where we have been doing galamsey and all these things, that when you plant hemp in such environments where it's toxic, it's poison, The hemp will absorb the toxic, the hemp will absorb the metals, it will over a period of time, it will reclaim the land so that farmers can go back and use it.